All right, so let's talk about contouring your nose. So I'm going to be using 3 different brushes just to show you different techniques to do with all. My favorite brush to do this with mascara is the blend and tap brush, which is also an eyeshadow brush. But when you get it, you'll see that there's like a shorter, a little bit more dense end that's a little bit more in the shape of a rectangle, and then there's like a fluffier, more circular end for blending. So I'm using the more rectangular shape for contouring my nose. This is just a really precise brush. I like and I love just how like it gets into those details so well. You can also use your detail hack brush with this. I don't recommend using the fluffier, flatter end, just because it can just get a little messy. So when using this end, I always push my brush together and then I'll dip in, and I make sure that I'm squeezing the brush as I'm applicating. Same with the blend and tap brush, or the best blend forever brush. This is a great tool. You can do your entire face with this brush. Using the smaller end, same situation, guys. You just want to make sure you're fluffing it out so it's nice and flat, and then squeezing the brush when you're using it. So I've seen a lot of people do this and they're just like lightly brushing the sides of their nose, and then the contour gets down into this part of their nose, which the wider your contour is on your nose, the more wider your face is going to look. So you want to think about it as having 2 straight lines. The narrower the lines are and the more precise the lines are, the narrower your nose is going to look and the warmer your face is going to look. If you get that over here, you have to think about creating the shadow is what's bringing the focus in. So if it's wide, it's going to make the focus of your nose look wider. So keeping that nice and narrow is the goal that you're having. Going in with my blend and tap brush, I'm just putting a little bit on that smaller, very more rectangular end, just lightly dipping it into my contour. That's all I'm having on my brush. So you want to stay on top of this nose bone right here. You don't want to go on the sides and you don't want to go on top, but you do want your highlight right here to stay in the middle. So what I'm doing, if you have a hard time finding it, find the balls of the end of your nose, those 2 little balls right there. I have pretty precise nose balls, nose balls, and I'm just going to follow that line up the top of the bone. So you want to stay on top of that bone. So when I'm doing it, I'm not brushing it off to the side because that gives some danger to get into the side of your nose, and I'm not going straight on because that could give the danger of going into too precise. So I angle it just slightly and I lightly brush it, and then it goes all the way to the top of that eyebrow. I'm gonna apologize for my children right now. So you can see it's slightly on the edge, slightly in the middle. It's just right on that angle right there. So using my detail hack brush, squeezing the end, dipping it into my contour. I'm using henna right now, and same situation, but you want to make sure you're squeezing it, and you want to do short, quick bursts of brushes up through that nose. So if you're using the blend and tap brush, squeezing that end into the contour, and then you want to cap off the end of your nose. If you don't cap off the end of your nose on that shadow, it's just gonna look funny. You're just gonna have 2 straight lines down your face, and then the ball of your nose, it doesn't connect, so it gives that warm, roundish thing. It also, if you have a large ball on the end of your nose, it will also help make that nice and tight right there. So I'm gonna be using, other thing, if you get in too close, okay, and you don't see that white line down the middle of your face, go in with, a lot of times I'll use the other end of my blend and tap brush, and I will get it right down. I'll re-put that highlight right down the middle of my nose. You want that brightness right there, okay? That brightness is important for the focus. Also, if you have a wide nose, a trick of the trade is getting your highlight on the sides of your nose, on that bone right there. So it will hide it and it'll disappear because the main focus is on that bronzer, or no, on your contour that you just put right there. So it'll make it disappear. So I'm gonna use my blend and tap brush on one side. Now you don't wanna over blend this. You wanna just nicely tap it because you don't want those lines to go away, but you just want it to blend. So I'm blending it down, and I'm not trying to blend it into the middle. A lot of times I'll use my other end of my, if I'm using the detail hack brush to do this with. I'll use the other end here, and I will tap it instead of brushing it, because so if you're using a dense brush, you want to tap. If you're using a light and fluffy brush, you can do light circular motions, but just to tap that. But you can see how it's just narrowed out my nose, but it's brought so much warmth. It's brought so much warmth to the middle of my face. Yeah, so here's your recap with your tips and tricks for Tips on Tuesday.